Hi guys, welcome to another episode of the Technology Show, where our experts translate geek into regular speak. How do you feel about mixed reality versus virtual reality? And what are your thoughts? Gadgets or games? And where exactly are you on the battlefield of Windows versus Apple? Stay tuned for our special geek guests. And now, it's over to our Techsperts.
It is the TechKnowledgy Show where we translate geek into regular speak. Hello, Angela.
Good afternoon.
This is becoming regular. It's nice to have you. I've now moved you to the head of the table.
Aren't you lucky?
I am lucky.
Yes, you should wake up every morning on a Wednesday and say how lucky am I?
How lucky am I? Well, if I'm lucky, then do you remember what we were doing last week? Because I've risen to the challenge.
Because it's all geek to me.
There we go. So I'm going to surprise you with this week's one. Anyway, app of the week. Normally I start off, but I'm going to include guest of the week as well, because the guest of the week is here.
Because he's here.
Well, not even because he's here, but he has an app. That's why he's here.
Well, we hope he has some kind of technology. Otherwise, why is he on the Technology Show?
Typewriter sales. Danny Gorog?
Yeah, Gorog.
Gorog.
Yeah.
Okay. From, what's it? Snap, Send, Solve.
Perfect.
Done, right?
Nailed it.
I love that, hey?
Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Welcome to the
Thank
show.
you. Thanks for having
So
me.
Danny is the CEO and founder.
Yeah.
And, well, I always tell guests, tell us what you do. So tell us what Snap, Send, Solve is all about.
Very simply, it's an free app for iPhone and Android that lets anyone in Australia and New Zealand report an issue to the appropriate authority for resolution. So if you're walking the dog and you see a pothole, or you see a water leak, or you see some graffiti, you use the app, you choose the incident that you're taking a photo of, and then we kind of tie the incident to the area and send the report to the right authority. Very simple.
I've used the app with the exception of actually submitting.
Yep.
Because I didn't have anything to complain about.
Okay.
I'm sorry, you didn't have anything to complain about?
I'm getting to that.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify.
I'm not Cam, I'm Brad. What I did like, so when I choose my apps, and besides the fact that you're obviously a guest of the week as well, I look for UI and UX.
Mm-hmm.
That's the first things that I look for.
Mm-hmm.
It was simple, it was clean. I didn't need explanations on how to use it. So that ticks my boxes when I choose an app. I didn't notice a dob in button, because there we go, I'm getting to that. So I can't, it's only for things that actually matter and things that need to be fixed.
Well, I'm
by
not sure.
council.
When you say dob in, parking incidents are kind of one of our most popular incident type. And I think a lot of that is there's a bit of dobbing in, like that person's
Been there for 2
there
weeks.
for too long, or they haven't moved their car, or they're in a disabled spot. So it depends on who you talk to, whether that's dobbing in or doing a civic duty.
I need to
reporting.
It's
I
reporting.
need
It's
to actually
reporting.
clarify the word dobbing in for our international listeners, because I only learned that word when I got here. So for everyone overseas, dobbing in is the national sport of Australia. It's not rugby or cricket like you thought. It's the act
I
of
object to
telling
that.
in on people.
I object to that. It's not telling on people. It's not
Clarify
carrying a
for us.
tail.
Clarified for us.
It is people in probably in an area where they live or work and have buy-in in that area are disturbed by others who are abusing a situation in that area.
Oh, that's the polite way of putting it.
Yeah, well,
I got dobbed in.
Although the hotline for the ATO is very popular here in Australia. Lots of disgruntled ex-spouses who do those reports.
the idea of the app came for me. I actually had an app development business. I take your comments about the UI and the UX seriously, and thank you for your compliment.
Pleasure.
I'd started an app development business with a couple of partners in 2010. We were a little bit busy, not very busy. There was a competition, the Victorian government put out, App My State, a cheap way for them to get apps made that use publicly available data. We knew we wanted to enter the competition, but we didn't have an idea. I took my son to the local park, and he was like 2 at the time. He loved going in the swing, but the swing was broken. That little chain was broken.
Yeah.
So I'm like, Oscar, you can't go in the swing. And he just went berserk. And
As you do when you're a 2-year-old.
As you do when you're a 2. And I thought to myself, whose problem is this, right? Like, who do I even report this to?
Who has made my life impossible because my 2-year-old can't use the swing?
Correct. So
I do like the first world problems that we address on this show.
Hey, if you've ever had a meltdown with a toddler in a park,
you know what it's like. Went back to my partners. I said, this would be a really cool app. Imagine you can just snap a photo, choose an incident type, and we send it to the right spot. And it so happens that local councils in Australia are have very well-defined boundaries, and they all have an email address and a phone number.
Yep.
So we kind of harvested that information, built an app, a front-end app, and it was just iPhone at the time, a back-end service that basically you pinged up your location, pinged back what council you're in, and we assembled the report on the iPhone, and the user sent it, and that was the start of Snaps and Solve.
That's brilliant. But I've noticed now when you say the start, because the other thing that I really liked was it positioned me and automatically brought up the Wallara Council.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't have to choose anything.
Correct.
Geolocation. So
Yeah.
it knew where you were.
Yeah.
It knew where I was.
But
That's
more than that,
scary.
it's not...
I was going to say, if you ever want to find me, just go into Snaps and Solve and look for... No, it doesn't.
But actually, when you drill into it, and the product's come a long way since then. We got busy building lots of other apps for in Australia, and then we sold that business to Melbourne IT. And so Snaps and Solve is now its own standalone entity, and there's a lot of stuff that comes with that. But when you're walking in the street and you see a problem, it's not actually clear and obvious whose problem it is. So, for example, if I'm out on the street here, it's probably a City of Sydney problem if it's a pavement issue. But if it's a road issue, it might be RMS. Okay, if there's
in New South Wales and Australia, we
the
differentiate
road
with
authority.
states.
Road authority.
Yeah.
So I'll give you an example in where I'm from, Melbourne. And I'm in Glen Eira Council. If you find a dead possum on the site on the nature strip, it's a council issue. But if you kick that dead possum onto the road, it's probably a Vic Roads issue.
And we would never advocate for kicking of any animals.
It was dead.
Dead or
It's
alive.
dead.
Two-legged ones.
So
maybe.
and then if there are heaps of pits. If you're walking along the street, you might see Telstra pits.
It is as difficult everywhere to differentiate as to who's
Correct.
What I'm amazed about the most, and is that when you are branching into the field of supplying government of any level in Australia with a solution to a problem they either didn't know they had because they haven't identified it, because they don't identify their problems in government, it is a huge mountain to climb to present a solution to government and to break through those walls.
Yeah.
So I'm amazed that you chose a market that essentially shuts out entrepreneurs.
It shows me. That's the irony.
It was a 2-year-old,
It's actually
right?
it's actually very perceptive, and I think if you would go after a market, the local government market, you would go, that's crazy.
Well, I'm in the local government market, and I would tell you every single day of the week it's crazy. So I'm an elected politician in the local market.
Which
This is
council?
This is why Brett's City of Sydney.
Okay, you're a councillor.
I am. Full disclosure.
Isn't this
There we go.
fortuitous? So
And
do you know
I
about
know.
Snaps and Solve?
I do.
Okay.
I do.
Do you use it?
I don't personally, because
Okay.
I have a hotline.
Okay.
My phone has a
Okay.
direct line to a director
Okay.
where I can say, why is this pavement like this?
Okay.
What amazes me, though, is being on the inside, I know how hard it is to break through any barrier of innovation to government.
Yeah.
And I'm still amazed 7 years later, because I have a business background, and I don't know why any organisation doesn't embrace a solution to a problem at such a low cost level, because everything that government does is very expensive. Government is notorious for spending a lot of wasted ratepayer and taxpayer money on trying to find a solution to something they're not sure if they've got a problem with, but they will spend 2 years investigating it, and by the time they come through the other side, the world has moved on, and they have not, which is why we're such late adopters to anything fluid and agile.
I think it's
Again, I'm
anywhere,
amazed.
though. I mean,
So
any country in the
spot
world
on.
has the same
spot on.
problem.
Well, big organisations operate like a government,
Yeah.
so they are clunky and slow as well.
It's interesting though when we deal with enterprise organisations, and we do a bit of stuff. So we deal with like Sydney Water, we deal with lots of water authorities, NBN, Telstra, etc.
That's got to be a popular complaint. The
Well,
NBN, when they
big,
dig up
clunky-
those
Telstra
holes.
one is out. There's a heap of, and they're actually the really dangerous ones when we see the
Yeah, we
images.
had that here where they put a plate down.
Yeah,
They dig into
and-
the hole and
yeah.
they put a steel
And then it
plate,
moved.
and the sharp corner can catch your tire.
Hey,
and,
what you don't know is that most of the stuff that's in the ground is asbestos.
And I do know that. I've seen the warnings everywhere.
Yeah. So there is a difference. Enterprises tend to move faster, and they're more independent, and they're more rational with their decision making. Where local government's a lot more collaborative, and
That's a nice word.
yeah. Well, there's a lot of opinions.
Collaborative.
A lot of opinions.
Well,
Anyway, I think there's an
there
offline
isn't-
conversation.
There isn't a lot of opinion. There's a lot of people sitting around saying, I have not admitting I have no expertise in this matter, and I don't want to give away any of my ground.
Yeah.
So unlike enterprise or business world, where if someone's approached with a solution and they can own it and go to the CEO and say, hey, I've found a great way to fix our problem, and they get the kudos for it. In government, it doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
The longer you keep it a problem, you are needed.
Yeah,
the minute you start having solutions, you may not be required.
I'm going to move on to the solution, and this way I'm intrigued. So it's iOS and Android, right?
It is.
I've seen no advertising.
No, so we...
so it's free and it's free.
Yeah.
So we're not being bugged by adverts yet? Or,
no. There's no.
So you've seen no advertising on the platform?
No, there's no advertising on the
That's
platform.
That's the thing.
So
government wouldn't like that.
No, well, there's no. I wouldn't like that. I hate apps that have advertising. So this is like there's a story to this. So Snaps and Solve, when it was managed and run by Outware, it didn't have a commercial model because it was the app that we had. We had like 100 developers, and we would get them to work on it to sort of train them and show them and experiment and stuff. When we sold the business, Snaps and Solve kind of needed a commercial model. And that's really where we've been going in the last sort of 6 to 12 months. We've been transitioning councils from explaining to councils what's happening, and we're really splitting the market into what we're calling a basic tier and an enterprise tier. And I can go into the differences, but enterprise gives a lot of efficiencies. So there's an API integration, there's the ability to customize the incident types that are presented in your area, and a whole heap of other things. With the basic reports, we provide unlimited reports, but what we do is we take away the photo and we make it anonymous.
Okay.
So we still give the council the geocode, the exact geocode of the issue. We give them the notes and we give them the incident type. So someone reports a trip hazard, we send them the geocode, they can go and inspect it. But we're trying to cause a bit of friction, and that's why we're getting pretty good uptake when we go and talk to councils about that, because councils get a huge amount of volume from Snaps and Solve. I'm going to look up City of Sydney just to give you the data.
We have a very engaged ratepayer.
Yeah, that's right. And when we go and talk to the ratepayers, and they're like, well, what do you mean the council won't subscribe? It's only, it's like 2 cents a ratepayer. And they're like, oh, yeah, it becomes a bit religious. And I think there's a good offline conversation.
That said, most councils don't have a lot of money. Most suburban councils who would have the greater need don't have a lot of money.
Yeah.
But the other side of that is I don't know why they wouldn't use it to communicate other things within their own organisation to the ratepayer. So take the ability at that time.
As a councillor for City of Sydney, how many reports did Snaps and Solve send to City of Sydney
idea.
in the last 12 months?
Tell me.
What do you think?
I don't know. 50,000.
No. 5,500.
Good.
That's a lot.
But it's still a lot, yeah.
That's a lot. Well,
and that's also only the people that know about it, right?
Well, that's right.
That's the thing.
That's right.
Being fairly new to the country, I wouldn't know that I could actually find an app that could solve that. And I've walked past those things.
In answer to your question, we have councils who support us and are subscribers. They promote it on their website because it's a very efficient, effective digital channel for them.
Yeah.
So Sutherland Shire is a good example. Inner West Council is a great example.
It's a quiet option too. They don't have to ring the call centre. They don't have to yell at someone on the phone.
Absolutely.
Did you see my post on LinkedIn the other day about sitting on a phone for nearly 20 minutes?
That's not on social, like it's private.
Yeah.
So there's a lot to. I think there's a lot
of pluses there to keeping it.
A lot to like about it. So people hear about us. There's a lot of word of mouth. If you go to Facebook and search Snaps and Solve, it's people who are out in the community. They're using Snaps and Solve. They're taking a photo of dump rubbish, and the next day it's gone. And they're like, that's amazing. Yeah. I've never had an interaction like that with a local government before, and it just works. Or they're seeing graffiti on the side of the road, and they're Snaps and Solving it, and it's getting fixed. And so that's where a lot of the positive goodwill comes from. If you look at our App Store ratings, we've got nearly 10,000 ratings, and I think we're like 4.8 stars out of 5. So people like what we're doing.
And what's the future of an app like that?
It's a great question, and we're just starting to scratch the surface. I think there's a lot of interesting things we can do with the data. So if we can, I think if we can tell a council or an authority that there's a small problem before it becomes a big problem, that's valuable. I think there's some interesting stuff we could do with machine learning and analysing photos and kind of risk rating things. I think there's a heap of, we get a lot of council workers and Australia Post workers and police who are using it, and they might want a different set of incident types than the broader community. We've got a brand new app coming out in the next couple of weeks. We're just about to submit it. So brand new UI, brand new UX.
Okay. Let me know when it comes out.
Sure.
Mind you, I'll get the update
Because
anyway.
the risk factor is incredible because government loves to be able to calculate risk.
Yeah.
Because everything for them is about risk.
Yes.
Where is that risk?
Yes.
And where does that sit?
Yes.
And again, an OH&S issue on the mental health and well-being of staff.
Yes.
On being able to process and solve things without any of the pain to come with it. So this is an example, Brett, of where technology actually does more than it assists the humans as opposed to replacing them.
Yeah.
Which we like.
And I'll give you a really great example that we're doing in Victoria. So Agriculture Victoria contacted us, and they have an issue in the Yarra Valley, which is one of our main wine growing regions, called phylloxera. It's a disease of the grapevine. That the government gave them some money. The state government gave them some money to make sure that disease didn't spread to the Mornington Peninsula region, which is another big growing region. So they're using Snaps and Solve now in the Mornington Peninsula region to get anyone who notices what they call an amenity vine. So if you go to a cafe, there might be some vines out the front, but they're not actually regulated or inspected regularly. So they're using Snaps and Solve to let Agriculture Victoria know where the amenity vines are. So Agriculture Victoria can send people out and check them for this disease.
So that's targeting one particular issue for one particular reason, and again assisting an authority of a higher level to actually help an entire industry and eliminate what could potentially be.
And I think the old way would be, let's build our own app and then tell people about it. But that is just so expensive.
If they even got to that.
Well, it's so expensive.
They'd have to do an RFP.
They would do an we know councils are building their own apps that do what Snaps and Solve does.
We have, the City of Sydney had an app for food trucks. Built it,
How much they spent on it?
We spent almost $100,000 on that kind of technology, and in the end it was worth nothing, and we handed it over for free.
So that's the point with these. It's in our interest, and we've got enough councils to support us that we can commercially develop the product and keep improving it, and we're good at that, whereas councils may not be good at app development.
And tell me, are you seeking out other ways of using the app for government, or are they seeking you out?
It's mainly they're coming to us at the moment.
Okay.
I mean, we it's sort of
someone smart in an organisation of government
they're going correct. Like
is looking at that app and
RMS
saying,
called us a couple of weeks ago. Look, we really want to use it for X and Y, so we're talking to them.
Okay,
sounds good. I've actually got to wrap it up. I'm not going to get to
ask him any of the questions you were going to ask him.
Any of the other shows? No. I mean, for me, it's more about just chatting about the app.
But it's fascinating.
It is
to
a
see
great
the crossover.
app.
Yeah.
But it takes
especially
a lot of
having you
people.
in the conversation, being part of council. You know what I mean? It's like
I think we're going to have
you have to do it. Yeah, you have to do business card swapping. Danny, website
snapsandsolve.com.
We've
got .au as well, but just .com.
And then it's iOS and Android.
Yep, and just search on the App Store for Snaps and Solve, or just SnapSend, it'll come up.
Yeah, and look, as I said, it made App of the Week for me as a radar. So I got to kill 2 segments on one section. I haven't done that before.
How geeky of you!
I know. Wait, it's still coming. So awesome! Thanks very much for coming through.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it.
Okay.
And it sounds like the two of you are going to be having another conversation again soon, maybe even on air. I don't know. We'll see. On air.
Full disclosure.
Yep.
Right. Awesome. That's it. Angela, I surprised you with my new segment last week. It's all geek to me.
Correct.
And we chatted about omnichannel.
We did.
And you then laid down a gauntlet that said, I need to do each letter of the alphabet. You didn't say whether it was the Greek alphabet or the English alphabet, but I'm going to assume it was English.
Yes, for the moment.
Right.
I'll use that as a fallback position.
Well, that's what I'm putting out there, because I'm going to have to accept the next challenge once I get through. How many letters are there? 24? 26?
In the Greek or the...
No, the English...
So I think you'll go with 24 for the English and 26 for the Greek alphabet.
Well, I knew the numbers were there. I was just confused.
And tell me, Brit, are we starting with A? We are starting with A.
That's what you said.
Okay.
Now, the obvious one...
Is there an Angela one?
No.
That should have been the challenge.
You said technology.
Ooh, harsh.
No, I could have carried on. Now, the obvious one was AI, because I talk about that all the time.
Yeah, but didn't I tell you couldn't use that?
Yes, you did. But I'm bringing up for the people that didn't listen. So I went with API, and that's not a beer. This is not like an...
APR or API?
I. Got to get that accent.
I have to get the accent right.
Got to understand it. API.
Okay. API?
Do you know what an API is?
I'm going to go with not exactly.
Okay, well, that's a safe bit. Do you know what the API? Of course, you know what. Come on, Dali, tell us what
okay,
is.
If you're going to be, sorry, before
API?
you were a guest, now you're part of the panel. If you're going to be smarty pants.
I'll give you in context of Snaps and Solve. So API stands for Application Programming Interface.
Yeah, because I'm supposed to know that.
It means it's basically a programmatic way to pass data between two systems.
So it's just systems talking to each other. So why don't you just say that?
Then I wouldn't have a segment. So the segment is, you see, now I've started that segment on A really well.
Okay,
I gave you one that you didn't know. Our guest knows and probably has used or has to use because he's pulling in.
We have an API.
There we go. Yeah. You see,
I have an API too. All my systems talk to each other.
Every morning you have an API. So fundamentally, it's an incredibly critical part of technology, because if we didn't have APIs when we build tech, no tech would talk to it.
Okay,
itself.
so here is the civilian part of that equation.
Where we dumb down Geek.
Right. Why on earth wouldn't you have API? What idiot what idiot in the technology world now? So why do we even need to have an API? Why do we even need to refer to it?
The idiot that built the device you like to use, for a start, someone Gates, he didn't have an API. All he did was steal Windows.
Do you have a foundation named after yourself?
I don't need one. He gives away all his money. I want to keep mine.
I want to be one of those people who gives it away too.
So, no, it's a valid question.
Does anyone build anything now that doesn't have API?
No, there's still... So the API means it allows you to talk to external systems and or bring in information from an external system. So it's almost a two-way traffic.
So are people still building things that stand alone?
They would.
And why do they need to? Why would they exist alone?
Can I give you an example using Snaps and Solve?
Please.
So the default way that we send reports to councils is via an email. So we send.
So it's not that part of the app isn't API.
So we send
doesn't have an API.
No, we send reports to council via email. But if council decides that they want to integrate, they can use the API that we provide them.
There we go.
And instead of going via email, it can go directly into their CRM system.
See, I understand when he talks.
Danny, Angela, Danny, 1 o'clock Wednesdays. Okay. So,
all right.
Was it a good one?
Yes.
Was it a good one?
Sure.
Okay. So,
whatever.
I think just to.
Okay, so I'll rate it. Let's establish new rules.
Oh, now we've got more new rules.
Yeah, new
I've
rules.
just started
it has
this
to
segment.
Get rated.
Well, who's going to rate it?
Me.
Okay, well, that's a 5 out of 5. Straight away. It has to be.
Me.
Oh, okay. I'll wait for your rating then for next week.
Well, I've got to be careful.
I'm going to make a note to myself that it will be rated.
Yeah.
So it's all Geek to me will be rated.
Yeah,
okay,
so this is 3.5.
Oh, come on. More than that.
How do I start at the top on the
let's
first
just chat.
letter?
No, but hold on a second. Let's chat about how you get to your rating scale.
I don't have to divulge that information. The criteria,
Politics,
the list of criteria.
You see, council will be rated. Okay.
And
we have the Angela. There we are. There's the A ratings.
Yeah,
the A ratings. You've got the A ratings. Okay. So API allows us to pull. Thank you. Allows us to pull data in and or push data out.
Yep.
And therefore cuts down an incredible amount of time between apps working together or even solutions working together.
So geeky people can sort things out when required.
Simple things though, Angela. Like if you take your phone when it brings weather, that's a great example of an API.
I rely on that.
We all do.
That's
why, and especially Sydney. Well, you're from Melbourne. I mean, weather. That's
weather in
that's
Melbourne's
like
beautiful today.
If anyone could get that right through an API or any other way, it would be amazing.
Then they'd also have the numbers to the lotto and
correct.
Talking about
in fact, it'd be easier to work out the numbers to the lotto than the weather in Melbourne.
Okay, so we now have it's all Geek to me, and an A rating system. And you're going through the alphabet.
3.5. And I'm going
You've got 3.5 A's. That's pretty good out of 5.
Okay, well, I don't know what my rating's against, but that's fine. I'll take my 3.5. And that's it.
Okay.
See you next week for B.
B. Good luck with that. And you can't use beta.
What about Brett?
You're like a piece of technology, or you're
all
would
geek?
Be. Or you're
I
all
would
geek.
be human 2.0 in a second.
You are all geek to me.
I would put chips in my arms and legs and necks and all those things. Okay, so that's all Geek to me. Done.
Thank you.
Things with a Z. Or things with a Z. Whichever way you want to do it. Have you got any things with a Z? Or should I just start off with some of mine and then you can tell me what you think?
Yeah, you show me yours and then we'll think about mine.
Okay, I'm going to start with my favorite bash, which is our friends over at Facebook. And Mark Zuckerberg was at it again. I think
is he your things with a Z? Because
he's
Zuckerberg?
Just Zed.
He's Zucks.
He's like Zed for zombie. Yeah. So they have found 540 million Facebook records on an unmanned, unprotected server recently. Now, like again.
Okay, when we say found and they found, Facebook
they
found
is researchers in Mexico of all places,
right?
Have found there was a company called Culture Collective that just left. So they obviously went under, and this is the I'm leading towards the point here. So they are no more, and they left records of 540 million people, which include their comments, their likes, their reactions, account names, everything, passwords, all on an Amazon S3 server. Now, the government,
Oops.
the reason, yeah, big oops. But here's my reason for bringing up for a discussion point, is when we had that atrocity in Christchurch,
yes,
the first thing the government's unanimously agreed with around the world is a takedown order, and that there should be penalties against our social networks and our YouTubes, and that, which I agree 100%. I don't know how they would do it because it's hard, but that's a different discussion. When a company goes under, so they've gone and everyone's off the hook and it's done, and they just leave your data floating around, is
were
there
they
a snap send? Is
but
there a
were
snap
they
send
a-
solve for that? I mean, like,
were they a
what do you
data
do?
company? Were they a data company?
They must be, because they're holding data. They're
Okay,
playing in Facebook, so they're
But
holding people's data.
as far as I know, there is no government department of any
And
kind.
this is my point, right?
Of any kind now that deals with companies that go under and what assets do they leave behind that may be of concern to the world in general and the globe as we know it.
Well, I'll give you another one. There's a company called was called At the Pool, which is some California-based app maker. They left data of 22,000 users, also found by the same company, but this had passwords, check-ins, and credit card details.
Ooh, ouch.
I mean, 22,000. So now you've got an app. Your app is free, Danny.
So, Danny,
okay?
you're shaking your head.
No,
and
but his app
freaking
is
out.
free.
Yeah.
But if you're taking my credit card details because I'm buying stuff from you, and there's like Fortnite in that, my credit card is linked to my son's Fortnite account, and he spends. Let's not go into that. I'm in a good mood. But the point that I'm making is you've got to give me a promise that nothing's going to happen to my data, and if it does, you've got to be held accountable. You can't just go, well, I'm closed up shop, thanks for the fish, and it's done.
Sure.
You know?
So is it the buyer or the user beware here? Do we also have to...
It's us. As users, we've actually got to start pushing back and
So
saying,
we
sorry,
have
I'm not giving you my data.
So T's and C's, terms and conditions.
No one
then-
reads those.
Well,
That's
but then
the
there should
problem.
be something in there for the consumer.
Yeah, I think things like, having unique password with every site you log into is important.
But you can't though, right? You can't remember these things. I
use
use something
you
like
use
one password.
or Safari keychain, whatever it is. And then the credit card stuff, I actually put my credit card
So
details.
we've got to stop you there a second. We have a Windows user. There is no keychain in Windows.
Well, there's one password.
Okay,
I've
you
got
can get one
password
password.
and password
You do
managers.
realise I can hit you on air and no one will know.
I've got it.
There are.
And I can flush that.
But I think unique passwords for every website is super important. And then if you do put your credit card into the wrong spot, you've got to contact your credit card provider, and they're normally pretty.
They
good.
are pretty good.
They're pretty good at either.
It's a pain in the
It is a
arse, though.
pain.
But
It
this is where we overall in our lives we want less government. But in these kind of things now, the world has to change, and government has to start looking at ways that they can assist the global consumer.
Sure.
And that is the fact that where our data sits is it's an asset that could be traded for a lot of negative results, and that it could fall into the hands of anyone. And the least of all we worry about is a financial criminal.
Well,
That's the smallest
it already
part.
has.
Yeah.
All of our data's already been sold 1 million times
Yeah.
before.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
So what are we worried about?
I
Is
don't
that
know.
what you're saying?
I'm not worried
I'm not
about
losing sleep about
Is
it.
that
I'm not worried about the privacy. I'm just worried about the financial detriment.
We
that
have no
could
privacy,
happen.
right?
No, and I agree.
We have no.
But
I
we
once
put it out there.
searched online shopping, buying socks,
Yeah,
and
now,
forever
yeah,
now I
that's
get
right.
every single underwear and sock
Yeah.
ad all over the place,
100%.
and it drives me crazy. So it's one less reason for me to do anything online.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. But going back to the password thing, that's why I'm a huge fan. And I said I'd become human 2.0 in a second. I go to so many sites and I have so many apps. I'm a geek. Okay, I could never ever, unless I used one password, which I do, but I could never remember. What is this one? And then of course you got 3 attempts and you're locked out. there's just got to be a way that there's an accountability that moves in both directions. And they can't hide behind terms and conditions because no one reads them. And they go, oh, well, you've clicked it. Yeah, you haven't written it for me to understand.
Yeah,
and
I
it's
don't know.
500 pages.
Is there like a financial, there needs to be someone who actually is the watcher of any data?
It's going to happen. Governments are going to have to.
They're going to have to do
people
it,
in
and you
place.
know what? We all struggle with having faith in them doing a good job as well.
there
So
we go.
yeah, Danny's kind of looking at me like, seriously?
I was speaking to my friend today. I said, I'm in Sydney. He goes, I said, there's just construction everywhere.
Yeah.
And he tells me that this monorail that you're building in the middle of
Yeah,
George
you don't want to
Street,
go there.
It's
Yeah,
like
you
from
don't
two,
wanna
there
go
are two
there.
different contractors building it.
And
You don't
I
want to
don't
go
go
there.
there.
You don't want to go
and the
with light
rails
rail.
are the wrong,
Yeah,
you know, like
you don't-
that wouldn't happen in private. I don't think that'd happen
Danny,
in private.
you don't want to
don't
go
go
there.
there. Okay.
This is a
Okay.
personal bugbear.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, but
I've
you're right.
People have died over this.
Yeah, right. Amazing.
So moving swiftly along.
To another things.
Another things, Amazon has joined SpaceX in the space internet race. So for those people that think our internet comes from just cables on the ground, they're wrong.
Doesn't come from God?
Well, maybe.
Only the
Depends
fast
on-
internet comes from God.
Oh, then we definitely don't have
'Cause
it.
you're an
yeah,
atheist.
Right.
You're an
I mean,
atheist.
We must all be.
There's going to be
Thanks,
internet
NBN.
in space.
No, there already is. So
There's
what they do
internet in
is
space.
it's satellites, not for Martians to use. Maybe that's where
There
our
was
bandwidth
Wi-Fi on my
goes.
Qantas plane this morning for free.
That's actually quite
Wow.
impressive that it's free.
It's amazing.
Because normally they charge you on Qantas.
Yeah.
It's included
budget,
in your overpriced ticket.
Yeah, like the Jetsstars and the
I don't
budget
know,
airlines, they
it's
charge you for it.
amazing. It's just like...
Was it fast? I mean,
Yeah.
did it work?
Yeah,
Really?
yeah.
Could you can't stream or anything like that?
I didn't try, but it said
Please
you
do
couldn't
and
make
let me know.
video
Yeah.
calls. You couldn't.
Oh, really?
Well, it said you couldn't do video calls, but
Okay, then you can't stream. Yeah,
Yeah.
then you wouldn't be able to stream.
yeah.
Because you really want to have a fight with your spouse, on a
While
video
you're up
call
there.
on the plane, don't you?
Can you
What do
imagine?
mean?
That's such a good
know.
joke. Like comedy
You know
thing,
what?
except
That
we
would
get
make
arrested.
for a great reality show.
Well, we actually need someone like the Aussie man to go and do something. You want me? I'm leaving you now. Did it and freak out? That'd
I
be pretty
didn't
cool.
sleep with her. I promise you, I didn't.
So the Amazon guys have
Yeah.
partnered with someone called Caper, and they're putting 3,236 satellites into space, or they've applied to NASA.
That's a lot of clutter.
Well,
So
this is
hang
why
on,
I'm bringing
hang
a
on
lot
a
of room
second.
up there.
There's a lot of room up there. Yeah.
Who's in charge of the real estate up there?
It's the same as a Civil Aviation Authority. There's an aeronautical.
Yeah, but they're not.
Space
But they belong
aviation.
to one country.
No. It's a collective like the UN.
Oh, okay. There
No,
is
no,
a
it's-
collective.
No, it's a collective.
I'm just asking.
No.
asking.
But we need it though, because
Yeah. What
to
do
get
we
our
need? We need
communications
3,000
between
satellites?
continents. No, that's not a lot. There's 7
That's for
billion of
one
us.
thing. That's for one thing.
No, this is to share internet. Like this is for internet.
To share internet around the world or in
Correct.
space.
No.
For
we
when
don't
we-
care if the
for when we
Martians
go
can
to
use it or not. No, Elon.
We are going to Mars,
Buzz.
right? Because I
Apparently.
heard that we're
Ask
going to
Elon,
Mars,
he
right?
says we're going. In fact, he's even going to work out how to get back in case he doesn't like
Yeah,
it.
that's 'cause
or he can't grow dope there.
Yeah, he might need to
That
take an
could be
extra
his big
supply of his-
problem. Look, I just think it's fascinating that this race that's on to keep throwing these things up into orbit to keep us connected. And how do they make that money back?
That's a lot of
That is
Wi-Fi.
Incredible. Imagine what it does to our brains. It's like zzzt. We'll all be walking around with those little tinfoil hats on. Do you remember those little stickers you used to get in your cell phones when they first came out that flashed when the call went, so like ate the radiation? Do you remember that?
No,
It's just
Brett. I think that you
rubbish.
did you find that in cornflakes and you stuck it on?
No. I actually,
I remember having a
Get those solid
device
things.
I'd plug into my phone, and it was like one of the old airline headphones with the audio came through like a tube to stop radiation going into your brain. Do you ever have one of those?
No, I didn't have one of
They're
those,
like
but I had the
converted-
sticker thing.
Yeah,
No.
right.
And you used to get a case that you could slide up 2 little steel aerials or something that would.
Right.
Only geeks had those.
No, I
Us
didn't.
normal people didn't have them.
I was just like, fry, let's go for it.
Any other things?
I do. So a couple of interesting RPOs. And why I say interesting, they're both going very different reasons and different things. So Pinterest. Now, Angela, I'm going to say this, and I'm waiting for you to hit me, but I really don't mean it to come out that way.
Bullshit.
Pinterest is a girl thing.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Okay, so
Yeah,
that's
I'm
I'm
not-
not being sexist.
I don't
It's
have
a
any
girl
issues
thing.
with that, yeah.
So
It
I
is
don't
a
know
girly,
enough about it.
It's a girly thing.
It is a girly thing.
You
Like,
don't see
put
many
your
boys going,
boards and
I'll just pin my shot of my Tonka truck.
that's what I'm saying, right? So I've never used Pinterest. I've never got into Pinterest. I understand the mechanics of Pinterest. But what they're doing is they're de-risking their RPO. Ooh, RPO, R for, No, anyway, it's too easy. They're not backing themselves. So they were talking about going in at like X, and now they're dropping it down to 15, and their reason for that is that they want to de-risk the investment. Now just think about that for a second.
Well, because
Hi people, please give us money, but we're going to ask you for less money so you de-risk your potential loss.
Because there is consistently out in the financial market the understanding that a lot of these tech situations are completely overvalued, and most of them are still not even making money.
And the message to me is don't invest in them.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm happy to invest in them if I'm going to be the one reaping the $1 trillion. Don't be speaking like a, a techie person.
No, I'm not sure. I think these things you don't quite. I mean, Pinterest, I think they're turning over like $500 million in revenue. I think they were profitable last quarter.
I don't know. Uber's still not profitable.
Yeah, but I just look at the trajectory of like the Googles and the Facebook. Facebook weren't profitable. They lost billions of dollars.
Yeah.
And now they're super profitable. So these businesses that have an effect, a network effect, a brand, like the Pinterest brand is a strong brand.
I know that.
But clearly they don't believe in themselves.
And that's my point. Like, why would you de-risk?
Well, from an accounting perspective, they're making sure that they don't have to write things off later down the track, so that maybe they're putting in a bit more of a realistic financial show.
I think what they may be saying is that they're going to they're pricing the shares at the lower part, and that's maybe a sign of demand.
Is it a strategy on?
I don't know.
There have to be
the second one.
There's a strategy somewhere. You can be sure there are some bankers behind it with a strategy.
Yeah.
So
you can be sure.
How can I rip off people?
Correct.
Here's the second thing: is Zoom. Zoom.
Correct. I know Zoom. Yep.
Calling. So they're about to file their IPO, but they're doing it differently because they're doing it on performance and wealth generation. They are profitable. They haven't got numbers, because that's the other problem with all these networks. Uber's, we've got 20 million users. Yeah, but they're not doing anything. They're just there. They're not actually putting dollars in the bank. Zoom is IPOing, and they're doing it off the back of wealth. They are actually making money. They have a commercially viable product. So, if you were sitting, let's say you got $200 to invest now. Okay, and I know Pinterest, we've agreed, is a girly thing, but everyone can use Zoom because Zoom's just a business tool. Would you invest in a company that has numbers, no profit, and puts out a statement of de-risk? Or would you invest in a company that has profit and is looking to scale and bring on new products?
Well, I hope I'm not stupid, so I'm going to go for the money.
Well, we know you're not stupid,
I'd like
but
door number
I'm just
2.
saying, like, with all these advisors that, they're in the same area. They're probably in the buildings next to each other.
But they're different. I mean, they're fundamentally different businesses.
It's different financial
and different
strategies,
markets,
obviously.
And that's a hard comparison, I think.
Yeah, Brett, that's a hard one.
I like hard comparisons.
Well, but it's a financial strategy.
It
It's not a tech strategy, so it's not
Well,
about
the
their
tech
product.
companies.
It's not about their product.
Okay.
It's about their financial strategy.
I'm going to move on to something then totally fun.
Yeah, because
Fuji,
Yep.
as in Fujifilm.
Yep.
So they're now doing social dining. Did you read up on this?
I beg your
What does
pardon?
that mean?
Social dining. So
All my dining is social.
No. And this one is actually to our friend that's no longer here with us. They've worked out that 49% of Australians take a photo of their food before they eat it. You know this Instagram thing? Do you do that?
No, I just eat my food.
Okay. Now, Oreo, if you look at his Pinterest post, it's food.
Who's it? Who?
A former
co-host.
panel member.
Okay.
It's just food, right? That's what he does. And as soon as, and in fact, and he's quite sneaky. You sit there and next, it just happens. It's
what
done.
do they do with the photos of the food?
It goes onto Instagram.
But do they think about it? They go, that was a really nice spaghetti bolognese I had, 2 years ago.
I don't get it. I take it if it looks pretty because it's just a pretty photo.
I think it's to socially show that they get out and about,
right? That's what,
and to feed that ego part of it,
So
and to show up their friends.
So how clever is this? Do you know the restaurant? I have to read it. It's been apparently voted as Sydney's best Japanese restaurant. It's Sake Double Bay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're going to pay about $800 for a set. $120 for an 8-meal set course.
Right. A degustation menu.
So what they're doing is you can now book for a group of 6. They will provide, Fuji will provide a professional photographer with the latest XT30 camera. Wait, this is where it gets good.
Uh-huh.
So they'll help you take pictures. You'll be able to pair your phone to put into Instagram. And for every like that you get, $1 off the bill. Okay. So you laughing. It's a great marketing exercise.
Makes me feel sick.
But it is a great...
Does this make you feel old? Like, I don't get this.
Okay.
I do not get it.
I don't do it. But I just think it is such a clever marketing.
Is my food going to go cold while this is all happening?
Angela, did you get this?
And then
that's probably the best comment of the show.
Because
well, it's Japanese, so
sorry,
it's already
mate,
cold.
can you hurry up and just take that picture? I'm really hungry. Or the chopsticks are coming in. You hear this? No.
Because this, look,
But it
I'm
is a
just,
clever
I'm disturbed.
marketing campaign.
And if it's going to be happening at Double Bay, then I'm disturbed about the kind of
Double
diners,
pay.
the diners who will be wanting to get more likes about their photo of the
Can
food.
you imagine, like, what's that TV show, the Married at First Maths, the Married at First Sights?
Well,
Sight,
I was
them?
more thinking of the housewives of Double Bay.
Well, the same thing, right?
No.
So they're all going to be there with their trout lips and big pouts and going
That's
like this.
No, not everyone has
Them
that situation.
from that show, I'm saying.
However,
and they're gonna go,
yeah, it's disappointing. It's disappointing. And as a restaurateur, I'm telling you that if you are going to be doing that to my food that I have served you, I would be smacking your head because I'd be saying, no photo here, 1 year.
But they're encouraging it.
Where's your restaurant?
We don't talk about that in conjunction with light rail in the same room
Okay.
or in the same breath.
Danny, we're going to have an offline,
Okay.
mate. But so
it's not going to
we don't
happen.
have
There
to
is
agree,
no
we don't have to
restaurateur
agree
worth
it.
his salt that is going to allow that to happen in their restaurant.
But they're doing it.
Well, Sake is going to think twice about that happening soon because there is no
of the
amount
show.
of marketing. You either care about your food or you don't. I'm sorry. Move on. I'm upset.
Okay, moved on.
More things.
Done. Yes, more things. I actually wrote in my notes here, Apple drops its pants, but I think I meant right price. But maybe there was
But you're not sure what you were doing at the
there was a
time?
Freudian slip there. So, this whole Chinese market that the world is trying to dominate, they're just battling. Apple is battling in China. They're just not getting sales. So
Because they do not get that market.
I think the market's had enough of being controlled. So when you move into the Apple ecosystem, it's just more control.
Yep.
So maybe that would be one of the reasons. Or alternatively, if you thirst for content and stuff that you can't get, you need an Android phone to do that.
So I know we are pushed for time, but I just wanted to share something that you will love. And I never thought I'd see the day that it would happen. But I had an amazing experience with Apple last night.
Oh, well, hold on. That's fantastic.
So my 4-year-old niece
yes.
locked herself out of my iPad.
Locked herself
Out of my iPad, which
Okay.
I have given her, and it's like a 12-year-old one. And she couldn't get back into it. And there was a fit of screaming and crying because she couldn't hear her lullabies before she went to bed. And I said to my sister-in-law, I don't know my password from 12 years ago. And she said, oh, here's the number for Apple. Just ring them and they'll help you.
Yeah. Apple Care.
And not only did he care about helping me on the phone, but he said, just put me on hold and just help your niece sort through the iPad and I will wait.
Yep.
And it took me 5 minutes to sort it out, and he was still on hold and I went back, and it was an Australian. So
Yeah.
wherever he was
Yeah.
answering it was here.
Great.
And he just said, I'm so happy I could help you and thank you very much. And
Isn't that good?
And I just said, well, it saved my life and my sister-in-law and my brother's life last night. And I never thought Apple would do that. And
great.
there you go. So I'm just sharing. So
Yep. No,
if we've used up all our time, Brett.
We actually have used up all of our time. That's a
But I
good way
wanted
to end the show.
I wanted to end on a positive note for you.
The last thing I obviously have to do is thank Alcatel again. We're going to give away another phone.
Yes, we are.
And I'm using my 5V to try and get this Periscope thing right.
And we are using one of the Alcatel phones to film and record some of our other shows.
Oh, cool.
At Eagle Waves Radio. So
Well, I must give you my one. It films and records even better.
even better.
Because it's got fancier screens and stuff.
Thank you again for having me. And
thanks for
thank you very
coming
much
on.
to our special guest.
Yes, Danny. And thanks for
Thanks for having
contributing
me.
for the rest of the show, mate.
Thanks for having me.
So,
And you can snap, send and solve anything you like.
I like.
And I'll see you next time.
Awesome. So, till next time, keep your screens clean and your knobs shiny.
Thanks for listening to our latest episode of The Technology Show. Remember, for more episodes, hop onto eaglewavesradio.com.au, follow us on Twitter and like us on Facebook. Catch you next time.